Hey, how's it going? This is Salman Agah, and we're here going over some covers of skateboard magazines that I've been featured on. So I wanted to talk about what I remember, if I can remember much about them. But I figured I'd start with this one over here. This Rad magazine cover was shot by a fella named Tim, and when I was out shooting, I wanted to say I don't ever recall like thinking, oh, I'm going to shoot a cover.
Sure.
I just thought like we're going out with a photographer, they're going to shoot some photos, and they'd end up an editorial or an ad or something like that. And yeah, so it's cool that anytime I ended up on a cover, it was a surprise. And I want to say, thinking back on kind of my mentality at the time, I was not really interested in actually going out with photographers and shooting photos. I really wanted all of the imagery that surrounded my coverage in magazines to be candid. So to get a cover was really cool, because I know a lot of people, would plan to go out, shoot a photo, it's for the cover.
Right.
It's a very specific trick or spot or whatever, or some groundbreaking something, and I just was not of that mindset. I always wanted my video footage and coverage to be super candid. So that's why I was stoked to see, for example, that photo. I remember being in London, and we just were out skating all these different spots, and this spot I really loved because this was Harrow.
Okay.
And the guys from New Deal UK who distributed Reel at the time, they were super great. Gary and God, I can't remember the other guy's name, but they were amazing. They would put us up in this little bed and breakfast, and then they'd hook us up with like other skaters or photographers or other people that were touring, and we would go skate. But I really loved skating that park because it was a historic, very old skate park, and at the time there were these bowls. You could see like the coping of these bowls that were just buried under the earth.
Yeah.
So
was that your first time to London?
it wasn't my first time to London, but maybe it was my first time to London on a skate trip, but it wasn't my first time to London. You can see in this photo, what I love about this picture too is I love that shirt. That's a 101 Gabriel Rodriguez shirt.
Okay.
And I think on the bottom of my board are League stickers, which is Slappy's company that I rode for at the time, the International Leisure League.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing Ben Davis and probably Chukka boots, and I had my broken hand I broke my hand in Palo Alto, and I had that cast on for like 5 years or something like that. But I guess the reason I wanted to talk about that and why I like that photo so much is that was an era when nobody rode the boards or clothing or anything from the brands that they were sponsored from.
Right.
We were all riding
Whatever
stuff
you liked,
that we liked, and a lot of it was just our peers. You know what I mean? Like if and I love Gabriel. From the time we were on PAL together, he was one of my favorite skaters. He's just so, I think underrated and just extremely talented. When I first met those guys, Guy and Rudy and Gabriel and Paulo, I thought like we were doing cool stuff up north, but I'd never even seen a 360 flip, and I'd seen these guys, and Guy was already doing, manual 360 flip out of a manual. This was in the late 80s or whatever, but man. So anyhow, I do like that photo because I think it captures what was happening in skating at the time, which was a lot of new skater-owned companies, and there was kind of this freedom to just be, And I think if you skated at that time, everyone that skated at that time just did it because they loved it.
Sure.
I'm sure kids love it now, but it was different. There was no financial reward for anything. You just did it.
So on this one, you're sharing the cover with Chris Fissel and Rick Ibicetta. Rick was on the trip with you? Was Chris as well?
So I don't think this was my first trip because I did travel to Europe I went on a trip with Rick Kosick.
Okay.
Just the two of us once, where we went and we traveled all over together, and this must have been on that same trip.
Okay.
And Chris Fissel rode for New Deal, I think, so he naturally would have been part of that deal. He wasn't there, but
Okay. Yeah, because I thought that was a U.S. sequence. I think.
yeah. So this was a fun cover because I had never met Earl Parker or Rick Kosick before, and somehow they had gotten in touch with me, and they came up to San Jose and they wanted to go skate, and it was great because they were in this big Cadillac, you know, and I remember they were listening to Frank Black, and they were in this big Cadillac, and they would pick, you know, Jason Adams and I grew up skating together, and Sean Mendola, and I think they just picked us all up, you know, and took us out skating. And this is Gunderson High School, and we used to like to skate this little ledge into this little pit. And what's funny is, like, once you land, there's nowhere to go. You just like land and run into this planter box, you know. But that's a backside tail slide on that into the pit. And the funny thing about this cover is that I really like these etnies. I'm wearing etnies, and I rode for Vans. And I was in discussions with Vans at the time to do a signature shoe. So then this cover came out, you know. And what's funny is I was like, oh, they're not going to want to do my shoe because I'm not even wearing Vans in this cover. And I think it did the opposite. They were like, oh, we got to do it now, because if we don't do it, then
go somewhere else.
Yeah, like he's going to go ride for Soltec or whatever. You know? I don't even think it was Soltec at the time. It was just Etnies.
Do you recall who shot this photo?
Kosick shot that.
He did, okay.
Yeah, Rick shot that, yep.
And
yeah, in San Jose. And you know what's cool about this high school is Mickey Vukovic's dad was a teacher at this high school.
Really?
Yeah. And so, I don't know, just kind of some interesting tidbit of skate history, trivia. So this cover, Skater of the Year, Thrasher magazine. I think also, you know, this is back to that era of just, I think skateboarding had a pureness and a rawness at the time, you know. This was a huge surprise, the whole Skater of the Year. And I mean, the cover wasn't, because I went and shot, this is one that we shot in the studio. Bryce shot that. But, you know, leading up to this was a huge surprise, because I was in a van. I was driving the box van, the deluxe box van with Jeff Clint and Kevin Ansel down to San Diego to do ASR. And that's when, you know, I learned that, you know, I was going to receive this accolade or award, you know. So yeah, that was cool. Interesting time.
Yeah.
And then Bryce, we shot this. I want to say we shot it at Studio 43 where the ramp was.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think Bryce set up the cyc wall with some lights and shot that there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what do you recall about the slap sequence?
Oh, this one here. So there was you know, we would always come to skate in LA. You know, we'd take trips down here to skate, and this is at Lockwood. Okay. And, you know, we were filming for the Real video, I want to say.
First one?
At this time, yeah. And this is another cover that I was really stoked on when I saw it, just because, you know, again, we weren't shooting a cover. We just were out skating, and it ended up on the cover. So I was pretty psyched on that. It's a switch nose wheelie on the table. And I think, you know, at the time, this was groundbreaking. It's nothing now, but at the time, you know, this wasn't the norm.
Is that Lance Dawes?
I think Lance Dawes or Gabe Morford. I can't remember. I think maybe Gabe shot it. But
Take a look, yeah.
I guess we'll find out. It's so funny looking at these.
Is that a real tour?
Well, yeah. We did a lot of those. Wade, riding moto.
Cover, Dawes.
Oh, Lance Dawes, yeah. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
You know what's funny is I want to say on this trip, Lance and I went down to San Diego and I saw Joan, my wife. I mean, we had already met, but we met up in San Diego, and I think that was on this trip. Because Lance and I went down together.
Okay.
And we like hung out for a couple nights in San Diego and then went back and reconnected with these guys.
Rad.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool memory.
Now,
I don't even think my wife knows that. I don't have to tell her.
so this is July 92, which was the 4th issue of Slap. This was in 93, and these images became one of the famous Slap Pals t-shirt, right?
Yeah, all these, yeah.
I mean, I think just the portrait ones, like...
Oh, the portraits, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And Rick. So, yeah, I remember seeing that for days.
Yeah, there's stickers. They made stickers
Yeah.
of that. I think I have some of those. Yeah, we were actually filming and skating out in the East Bay.
Okay.
And I think Jordan Richter was trying to do this feeble grind on this like kinked flat rail. And this is just me sitting in the van waiting. You know, I wasn't skating. I was just hanging out.
Yeah.
And I think the sun was in my eyes, but it's funny because I look all gangster, you know, on the cover. But yeah, I think it was just super sunny the way I was sitting, so I had that cover in my eyes, and yeah, it's cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Sal. I think that about covers it.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I mean the last one, which is not anything crazy, but this ramp was at my house when I lived in Fresno. That was in my
I
backyard.
realized you lived in Fresno.
Yeah, I lived in Fresno for a while before I moved up. I used to own a house up near Yosemite after, but I used to skate Sugar Hill and Madera. It ended up moving to Madera, but I had this little mini ramp at my house, and I think Lance Dalgart shot that. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe I don't know. Maybe. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even remember that being a fold out.
I know, it's pretty sweet. Wade again. I love Wade. Cover, yeah, Lance Dalgart. Dang, Ron Whaley, look at that. Sweet. There we go.
Sal, do you recall any covers that made a big impact on you as a younger skater that are kind of burned into your memory?
Covers, well, I mean, I think it's the Gons cover of him doing like a bean plant or something. I mean, that is one of my favorite covers. And then there's another Gons cover that I really love, the Power Edge cover, doing a frontside top shove. It's nothing crazy, but I just...
With the visor on?
Yeah, but I just love that